Section 30 of Up One Pair of Stairs of My Bookhouse. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Javen McCoy. Up One Pair of Stairs of My Bookhouse, edited by Olive Beaupre Miller. Legend of the Water Lily, an Ojibway tale. A long, long time ago, the great forests were filled with happy Indians. All the red men did what was right, so there were no wars among them, and the wild animals were tame, for no man thought to harm them. There was no winter then, but only one long summer. Every tree and bush yielded fruit, the earth was covered with brilliant flowers, bright birds made music in the trees, and no man needed anything, for all men's wants were richly supplied. In those happy times the Indians sat outside their wigwams every night on the broad prairies and watched the stars. They loved to follow with their eyes those shining wanderers in the great dusky vault of the sky. One night the red men noticed a star that shone far, far more brightly than all the others. Suddenly it seemed to leave the sky and drop halfway down to the earth. There it stopped and hung like a bird of fire over a mountain peak to the southward. Night after night the Indians watched that star and knew not what it could mean. At last they sent out a number of braves to see if they could reach it. The braves made the journey, but they returned to say, "Though the shining thing does indeed hang in the top of a great pine tree on the mountain, we could learn nothing more about it." For one whole moon the Indians wondered. Then it happened that a certain brave had a dream. A lovely maiden, white and silvery as the stars, seemed to stand at his side, and she said, "This is a beautiful world in which you live, young brave. I love your birds and your flowers, your smiling lakes, your rushing rivers, your leaping waterfalls. I love your tall green mountains, but best of all I love your people and the little children that play in your villages. So I have left off wandering in the sky and am come to find rest and a home among you. Ask your wise men what form I shall take, and where I shall dwell, that your people may love me always." The young man awoke. The maiden had vanished. But as he stepped to the door of his wigwam, he saw the star just where it had been before, hanging over the mountain top. So the young brave called the older men to the council, and when they were sitting about on the ground in a circle, he told them his dream. "The star would dwell among us," they said. "She is welcome. Let her choose what form she will. She may live in the top of the pine tree or in the heart of a flower. Her home shall be wherever she finds rest." Then they filled their peace pipes with sweet-smelling herbs, and sent up the fragrant smoke as a greeting to the star. The next night 5 young braves set out to welcome the shining maiden to the earth. When they returned, she was trailing softly behind them, and all through the night till the break of day she hovered above their wigwams, flooding the village with a soft, gentle light. With the dawn she crept into the heart of a rose on the mountainside and said, "This shall be my home." But ere many days had passed, she learned that up there on the mountain she was too far away from the people she loved. The children seldom visited her. So she rose again and floated down to dwell in a flower on the prairie. Alas! There on the prairie great herds of buffalo came rushing by. The star was always a-tremble at the sound of their trampling hoofs. "Here is no place to rest," she said. Then the wise men saw her rise once again, and they feared lest she would go back after all to the sky. But as the soft breeze bore her over the lake, she saw her own reflection floating peacefully on the quiet waters, and beside it, so peaceful too, the reflections of her sisters who lived up above and wandered about in the sky. "Ah, sisters, sisters, come down to these quiet waters with me," she cried. "Here let us be at rest. Here where all the gliding canoes of the people we love float by, and the children play all the day. Come down, come down." The next morning the Indians found hundreds of beautiful white water lilies floating bright on the surface of the lake. "The stars have come down to live with us," cried the children. They handled the lilies gently and said, "We will make them glad that they chose their homes on the earth." End of section 30. Recording by Javen McCoy, New York City, of www.realdealvoice.com.